Hi, everyone. My name is Kiris. Welcome to my new series, Cosmic Superhero. My new series is devoted and dedicated to the light workers in this world, people that really care about making the world a better place. And I am so thrilled. I'm actually over the moon with this new moon in Virgo to introduce you to Melissa SEHGAL. She is a real life cosmic superhero and then some. Melissa SEHGAL is an animal activist, rescuer, protector. She has literally put her very life on the line, saving and rescuing animals. She is also a gifted psychic medium that specializes in communicating with our beloved pets and animals that have crossed over the Rainbow Bridge. She's a nurse. She works with farm sanctuary animals. She doesn't just give lip service to what she believes. She walks the talk. And I am, again, thrilled that she could take the time out of her so busy life with all that she does for animals to be with us today and to show her off. Melissa, hi.
Hi, that's quite the introduction. I don't know if I can live up to that.
You do, and
Thank
then some.
you. I'm thrilled to be a part of this. Thanks for asking.
Thank you for all that you do. So let's start at the beginning. Where are you from? Where did you grow up?
I am from California, Los Angeles area. I'm a true, genuine Valley girl. Um, and have been living, I've lived in on the East Coast, Massachusetts, and then have been living in Washington State, San Juan Island for the past 8 years. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So when you were a kid, when you were growing up here in LA, did you always have pets? What were your childhood pets, if any?
I did have dogs, cats, and a few birds as pets. You know, life was different back then. I wasn't quite the person that I am now with my animals, and I think a couple of childhood experiences really kind of paved the way of why I am with my animals now. Having dogs that, you know, got out of the gate and we never found them, they got lost, and just not having that closure really set the
Mm.
tone for me to really how would I say it, include my animals as my family, as my own children, you would say. And just not knowing any better as a child and watching there and being able to communicate with them as a child and not quite understanding, thinking that was normal for everyone, really kind of gave me the insight of who I am now. And that's why I'm always wanting to take in every animal and care for them. Um, but yeah, growing up with animals, I've never not had animals in my life. So I
Mm.
don't know what that's like.
So did you always know that animals have souls, or was there an experience where it's like, uh-oh, the great epiphany? They have souls just like us.
You know, as a child, I don't know if I really knew what a soul was. I grew up in a very religious home, very strict, believe it or not, very strict religious home. And you just didn't talk about those things, you know,
Mhm.
and my mom knew I loved animals. She knew I was always outside talking to the animals and my imaginary friends.
Mm.
And that's how, you know, I guess you could say I got away with it. And my mom just kind of passed it off like, oh, she's got quite the imagination. And I would be like, no, mom, but this is happening. And he says this and he says that. And, you know, just not really taken seriously. I knew I had a connection to animals and I knew I loved animals so much, but I never made that, and I never had that real understanding until I was older of what it actually meant. And I was kind of taught to be afraid of that ability. When I first saw my grandmother who had passed, that was when my mom really realized, okay, there's something going on here. She's got, you know, this ability. and immediately was like, we don't talk about that. Let's suppress it. That's forbidden, basically. So the years that followed, I grew up basically being afraid of that ability and suppressing that
Wow.
ability. Yeah, until I was actually physically ill to the point where I just was sick, autoimmune disorder, and just having a lot of weird, rare symptoms that no one could really diagnose because I was just holding in all that energy. And as I got older, it became stronger and realizing, wait, this is not so negative. This is a gift that I can learn more and practice and use it to help others, not just animals, but other humans as well.
Mhm. Right, because, for people like me, animals are members of the family. They're members of the family, and it's devastating, to say the least, when we lose them. So when you say you are always talking to the animals, you mean talking to the animals on the other side, or in spirit, or different dimensions?
Talking to my own living animals
Mm,
and connecting and just, seeing their reaction, their, speaking with their eyes and
mhm.
intuitively, like I got that connection that we had. And it was like if I had a brother or sister sitting next to me and I was communicating with them verbally and they understood. That's how my relationship with animals has always been,
Right.
and thinking that was normal, and I remember being in school saying, "Oh, I talk to my dog all the time," and people are like, "Ah, ha, ha, ha." That was just, it was just funny and entertaining to people, and no one really took me seriously.
I've witnessed you doing readings, and you are truly gifted. So when someone is grieving, or when someone would like to communicate, to receive or give messages to their beloved pets, it is there something they have to do to prepare? Like, what is the process of, connecting that rainbow bridge to the physical?
And I strongly believe we all have a certain amount of ability to connect. We're just so prone to, going on with our lives and being disconnected with spirits' messages, and whether it be a human or animal spirit. And it's so easy to ignore those messages that come to us on a daily basis. And they do come to us on a daily basis. I ask, people that inquire and they want to connect with their loved ones, especially animals, which is primarily most of my request. And it's interesting because we come at a place, they usually come at a place, and I've been there, I've lost animals myself, and you're just in a very grieving state. So you're just wanting to make any connection.
Mhm.
And I let people know, I said, I just need a photo. I just need a name. I don't want any information, and we'll go from there. And I really tell them to focus on the intent of what message they want. Then, they can write down questions, take notes, and all my readings right now are via Zoom. And so by the time I get on Zoom with them, I've really connected with the photo only. And that's how I connect with that spirit. And for them to not give me information that validates the messages that I'm receiving, because I'm not feeding off of any information that they're giving me. And I really take that seriously. Like, I don't want to know, I just want to go in and connect with your cat, dog, or whatever animal. There's no difference between any kind of species of animal. So the message is always clear. And what people find out is like, they'll have a list of questions and I've already answered them because the animal usually knows ahead of time what their human wants to hear and, is able to understand. Animals are far more intuitive than we give them credit for. So they hear they sense energy, and it's not just spoken word, but it's telepathic communication. And so when we're on Zoom like this, and I'm just feeding off of, I'm just getting all this information and just trying to like give it raw information and not trying to interpret or assume, because it's going to have a different meaning for me than it will for the person that I'm reading for. And they're like, wow, you've answered all my questions, and I didn't even have an opportunity to ask. And I said, well, that's not me. That's your animal answering those questions. I'm just the messenger. So, just to mentally prepare and keep an open mind.
Yeah.
Never be fearful. Sometimes people, if they're doing this for the first time, I let them know, I'm like, I am just so down to earth. This is your time. Just be as comfortable as possible, and just know it's as if we're sitting in your living room and your animal is right there and we're all talking and chatting.
Beautiful.
So just to make them more comfortable, and no fluff or just facts, and just to give the message, a clear message from the animal to them. Yeah.
That's beautiful. And speaking of people being afraid, have you ever had an animal haunting?
I personally have not had an animal haunting. I've been, to get to where I am now, I did do research. I did paranormal investigations. I did focus on animal paranormal for a while, and I got what I needed, validation and, audio, photos, just to go with my feelings of what I was picking up on at that certain location. And once I was able to figure out, like, okay, yeah, I got my information. This is real. I'm not crazy. Um, I wanted to focus on helping others in a private setting, just to help that grieving and healing process. But, during investigations, there were a few places that were like really intense, and, haunting kind of gives it a negative feeling. So you could say it was a negative feeling, but I feel like sometimes we can interpret hauntings to be negative when spirit is just trying to communicate with us the best way they know how. And I've been in some negative situations that I choose not to be in anymore, but just to kind of make it more of a positive thing. And there are a lot of locations out there that are truly, truly haunted with human and animal spirit. So yeah, definitely.
Right. So it's not like Stephen King's Pet Cemetery. And, when they talk about human earthbound spirits, so it's not the same way with animals that are earthbound spirits, because I would think that their spirits are pure and they just move on.
And most of my experience doing readings and providing readings has been positive and healing. However, I will say that there are a lot of spirits, earthbound or not earthbound, that can morph into other beings. And that's probably a whole other podcast.
That's a whole other show, Melissa.
That's a whole other show, but I have had experience with that, and that will truly blow your mind. But yeah, that's a whole different subject, but it does exist, and I know it's real. So definitely
I'm sorry, to morph to look like an animal, you mean, and
Yes.
other beings.
Yes, or an animal morph to a human like spirit being. Yes.
Uh-oh. So when it comes to cats and dogs, a cat's more like, I'm independent, leave me alone, don't bother me. And a puppy dog's more like, woohoo, I get to communicate. Or is it all the same, pretty much?
For animals, their personality truly comes through.
Yeah.
Some come through as very, cat, dog. I've done all kinds of farm animals, reptiles, birds, and animals have egos. So they come through, they can come through as very humorous, very crass, very arrogant, quirky. And it's interesting how their personality picks up. And I've often asked, like, how do you understand them? Do they speak English? I hear animals and humans the same, as if I'm talking to, as like I'm talking to you right now. So there, I may not have the exact explanation for that, but that's how I understand them. And, I'll hear them talking. I'll also see things that they're showing me. A lot of times during the reading, it's like remote viewing where I'm looking through their eyes and what they have seen in their life, like their home, their living quarters, or, outside area, places that they've been. So each reading is always different and full of adventure.
So their personalities, like in the physical, comes
Yeah.
through. Now, you're Sagittarius. You're Sagittarius with Aquarius rising. And we're recording this right after the new moon in Virgo. Virgo rules over small pets, cats and dogs. Sagittarius are the big animals, the horses, the whales, all of that. So Jupiter ruled Sagittarius as you are. That's Jupiter is faith, it's believing. So have you always felt with the work you do, you're on a mission from God? Because you've been in tremendously scary, life-threatening situations. There are certain powers and governments that have not been thrilled that you've messed with their money-making products, so to speak. I say
Right.
that facetiously.
Yeah. So I was listening intently, and I'm not sure what exactly the question was. Is if I've been fearful, or sorry, I
Well,
was
you're
following that.
very brave, and you're ruled by Jupiter. You're Sag with Aquarius rising. Aquarius is the
Mhm.
rebel, and it's about the future. So, do you think that when you've been in, life-threatening situations around the world on dolphin campaigns and such, do you feel it's your Sagittarius faith that got you through? Do you feel like you're on a mission from God, all of the above, or were you just never afraid? It was something you felt called to do, and that's
Oh
that.
gosh, that's a good question, and I think it's a little bit of everything, really. I'm really good at turning off my abilities and, focusing. That's how I do my daily job as a nurse. You just turn it off, like you're turning down the volume of a radio, or, and I would have to say that definitely a higher power has guided me and given me the strength. And this is my life purpose, is to help animals in different ways. Just briefly, I've traveled all over the world advocating for different campaigns for animals. I've been a vegan for over 20 years, before anybody knew the word vegan. Um, and, and then now I've rescued animals, I've provided care for animals. Now I'm caring for my own animals and special need animals, and that's a full-time gig.
Right,
um,
right.
and helping others when I can. I really try to do that, plus provide using my psychic gift to help communicate with animals is really a big part of it as well. And to be able to combine my gift with my life purpose is a dream come true for me.
Yeah.
And uh not being afraid in those dangerous situations, it was like you just do it, and knowing that I'll be protected.
Mhm.
And 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 if that's a higher power, if that means then that's what it was. But it was just, there was never any fear, when I was going through it. I just wanted to do the best job that I could and not fail, and just do the best that I could to help animals, or advocate, or spread the word and bring closure to the cause. So I gosh, I'm stumbling on words because it's just so overwhelming to go back and feel like, was I scared? No, I don't think so. I don't think I was at that time. I just wanted to like go in and do the best job that I could. So I think that's how definitely guided by a higher power.
Absolutely. And for how long I've known you, for me, you always
Long
felt,
time.
yeah, for me, you always just felt like it's something you had to do. And that's the end of the story right there. Like I never sensed any doubt or fear from you. And like with people that do connect through you with their pets, do you feel like it brings them peace? Do you feel like brings them closure? Like what do they get out of it?
I mostly they want to feel their animal's energy.
Mhm.
They believe, I always have two different clients. I have the people that are curious
Mhm.
and just open-minded to like, well, let me give this a try. What's it going to hurt? Um, occasionally you get skeptics, but rarely. And then people that love their animals so much that they
Yeah.
just want any kind of message they can because they
Yeah.
miss them dearly. And
Yeah.
I've had people that have a dog that passed 20 years ago, and
Mhm.
they're more devastated over that than their own parent that died last week. And they're always amazed. This might be going a little bit more in detail than what you wanted, but they're always amazed that animals and humans will come together. The messages will come, one or the other will bring forward
Ah,
the other. And there's no sense of time, when we
right.
pass and
Right.
transition. There's no sense of time. So 20 years, it doesn't matter, and the answer is always like, but my mom didn't know that dog or
Yeah. Yeah. That's
and I'm
wonderful.
like, they know each other now. It doesn't matter. And they're
Right.
coming through together. So I think people really want to feel that connection. They want to know that it's real, or they already know it is real, but they want a piece of that.
Right.
And those that do have readings know that I am legit and that I'm going to be as honest as possible. I'm never going to tell anybody what they want to hear. And the message is always clear what they're supposed to receive at that time.
Right.
And there's always a perfect time. And I have multiple people that get multiple readings, and the message is always different for whatever they're going through or whichever animal that they're wanting to choose to speak to.
Right. Does it bring them peace to know that their animals are happy, loved, safe?
Absolutely. And the one thing that we often forget as humans, we tend to make it about ourselves.
Yeah.
We're grieving, we're
Right.
sad. Imagine that, right?
Yeah.
We're we're sad, we're grieving. And I've been guilty of this too. We feel like we're the worst pet parent, or we didn't do enough, or did we do everything that we were supposed to? And the one thing that animals will always say to me first is, thank my mom, thank my
Aw.
dad for all that they do, because
Wow.
I'm just so thankful for everything that they did. Or I'm grateful that they sacrificed, their time or their work schedule or their vacation or money, whatever the circumstances.
Right.
And they're always grateful. And they're never going to say, I've never had an animal say, well, gosh darn it, you didn't do this or you didn't do that. And
Right.
even though we're fixated on that as
Yeah.
humans and we're sad, our animals are, they've found youth, they've found energy, they've found health. And they'll come through as running up and down staircases, and the human will be like, gosh, well, they couldn't walk, in the last couple months of their life. And I said, well, they are running now and they're very happy. So know that. they are, not in pain. They're not suffering anymore. There's no injury, there's no illness, there's no such thing as that once we cross over.
Right. They don't do the you didn't do enough blame game.
No. And so, we just have to know that most of the time it's us, and it's, us as humans going through that grieving process. And our animals, even though they've crossed over, they still support us and they help us through that grieving process. And, just like animals, when you come home and you're not feeling good or you're having a bad day, what do? They comfort you.
Right, right,
And so animals continue to do that from the other side.
right. We feel it.
Hmm.
Now, you met a man once named Sam Simon. And guys, if you don't know, Sam Simon was one of the original creators of The Simpsons. And he always kept points in the show and was like richer than King Midas. And he gave so much back to animals. He would send portable trucks around LA so you could get free like spay and neuter your pet. What was he like? And did he visit you after he passed way too soon, gone too soon, Sam Simon?
Yeah. Sam was truly incredible and a giving individual and loved animals so much.
Yeah.
And I had the opportunity to meet him when I was in Taiji, Japan, and we kind of started talking on Twitter, of all things, when I was on campaign in Japan. And he had wanted to go to Antarctica with Sea Shepherd, and I was on Taiji campaign at the same time. And this was when he was declining with cancer diagnosis and knew that he wouldn't be able to go on the ship. And I said, well, I would love for you to be a part of the Taiji campaign, but I understand. And lo and behold, he kept his promise and he flew to Japan with an entourage of amazing, beautiful activists and friends and his own private nurse, and was on the ground in Taiji during the dolphin hunting season with us, and was there to witness the last day as they're tearing down all the, equipment and everything for the dolphin hunting season. And it was just so incredible to share that with him. And I have so many good memories from that. Um, just an incredible, selfless person. Uh, I don't know if many people know, but um, I had returned from Taiji and was back here in Washington State at the time, and one of my little dogs had needed emergency surgery, and he just said, "Whatever you need, Mel, whatever you need, like let me know," and basically, helped me save her life. And so I say that because the morning of the same day that he passed, she just started randomly barking and looking at the doorway. And I knew that there was someone there, but I could not see. But she was the only one. I had like 3 dogs at the time, and she was just barking, 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 and not a vicious way. She's a little Shih Tzu, just like, oh my gosh, I see you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Mom, look who it is. And then it was a few minutes later where I got the call that he had passed. And I knew immediately what she
What it
was.
was. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was there.
Yeah. And then there was that experience. And then there was a few experiences. This is kind of humorous. Sometimes spirit can be funny. And it's
Yeah,
always
always.
always a message to let you know, okay, if there's any doubt, this is who I am. So Sam was a big cigar smoker. He loved a good cigar. And I don't smoke, and I'm very sensitive to any kind of smoke. And there's sometimes where I'm like, what? That's such a distinct smell, like a sweet tobacco smell. And it's a cigar smell. And I'm like, oh, hi, Sam. Just checking in on the fur kids. you know, and it's been a couple times during readings or when my elderly dogs have been ill, he's just checking on, letting me know. There was one time where I was going through a tough time during a campaign and activist work, and I just, I have my moments where I just break down and sob because I'm human. And yeah, I don't know if I can swear, but Sam swore. I don't know if I can do that here.
Now I like them even more.
Oh, okay. I was like, I might have to edit this, but he just said, "Will you stop the crying? You got to keep fucking fighting."
Yeah.
And it was so like loud right in my ear. And
Wow.
that stuck with me. And I remembered that. And I'm just like, I got to keep going. That's what he's telling me. Just keep going. Sometimes when we get caught up in the emotions and everything, and we're like, oh, I can't do this anymore. It's too much. I can't bear enough. And it's like, it's not about me. It's about keeping going and being a voice for the animals. So that stuck with me, and I never forgot that.
Yeah. What an incredible person he was, you are.
Yeah.
And guys, if you're interested in getting a pet reading from Melissa, I don't know what Melissa's fee is, but tip generously, because the money you give for a reading, if you get a reading, it goes right back into the animals. I can't imagine what veterinarian bills cost these days, but you're just giving back to the animals if you do get uh, a pet reading from Melissa. And anything you'd like to say or add, or oh, I want to ask you, do you feel like you have an animal totem? Mine is the wolf.
Well, imagine having a orca as your spirit animal. I have so many stories. Gosh, this is to limit it. I'm like, okay, I have to stop talking. Um, True story is I ended up here on an island because of the orcas, and always loving orcas, my whole life, never seen one in the wild, and not really supporting captivity. So going to SeaWorld was never an option. And just really having that connection. And when I found out about San Juan Island, I didn't even know where it was. I was like, but I got to go there because there's orcas that swim around there. And I just up and canceled everything I had planned and planned a trip and said, I'm going to go and I'm going to see orcas.
I remember that.
And I'm not leaving until I see orcas. And I mean, you're talking about someone that had pictures and painting orcas like since I was a kid, and just
Amazing.
really making that connection. And the first day that I arrived here, I sat on the bluff and just looked out at the water and I do a lot of automatic writing.
Yeah.
And just writing, shut the journal, didn't read it. I knew it was for a purpose. And the next day saw what they call a super pod with all 3 local pods, which was about 20 some orcas.
Wow.
And I say that was like the best day of my life because it really opened doors. It made my I think my spiritual belief and my abilities a lot stronger because I was so validated, and it was the perfect timing, just that transition. And before I went to Taiji to be a voice for the dolphins and the whales, and I really needed that at that time. So after I opened my journal, and I can't remember exactly what it says right now, but I kept reading, you are one of us. You are going to be a leader. You are strong. The whales will lead you to where you need to be. And I was reading this and I was like, I don't know whether to be scared or excited.
Right, right.
But, my life did a total 180 after that. And so definitely orcas are definitely a part of that spiritual, spiritual animal spirit, whatever, however you want to say it. I'm so overwhelmed right now. I'm at a loss for words.
I know you have a lot of water in your chart too. So
Too.
obviously
Thank you.
they speak to you. And guys, angels walk amongst us. Melissa's one of them. That's the real deal. So thank you for all that you do for us, for the planet, for sharing
Thank
your light
you.
with the world, for having the courage to share your light. You're a light worker.
Thank
And
you.
I'm sure the
Thanks.
animals thank you too.
Yes, thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
An honor to have you. And can we do a part 2 with all the spooky stuff that you talked about?
Yes, yes. You know what? There might be a part 2 and a part 3. I was like, oh, well, there's so much I can go with this and talk about all these stories and so many adventures that I've been on through life, with activism and paranormal and just, rescuing animals. So there's so much and it all fits together.
Yeah.
It's just like pieces of the puzzle that have created and made me who I am right now. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I want to share some of the pictures of you in, in a cage in the body paint. And Sagittarius is one of the feral signs of the zodiac. A little bit always wild and free, can't tame them. Half horse, half man. You got to roam on adventures.
And it hasn't
So
changed now that I'm
yeah,
older either.
hope it never does.
I hope it never does either.
Yeah, I'd love to do another episode with all the spooky shape shifting things out
Absolutely.
there.
Yeah. No, definitely. There's a lot to talk about.
Yeah, we just kind of skimmed the surface. But if people want to have a pet, do they find you on Facebook? I'll put your
Yeah,
info below.
social media. I just, I used to have a website full time. It's gotten too much and just word of mouth or referrals, private referrals from people. But if people want to find me on social media, I'm happy to communicate with that way and can give them my email or such.
I'll put that
So,
below.
yeah, definitely.
Do you ever see animal spirits in the hospital? They're gonna cut us off soon, but do you ever
Okay.
see them in the hospital
Sometimes I see them around humans. Yes.
that are getting ready to pass or that
Yes.
kind of thing? Yeah, like
Mhm.
relatives, which they are.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
There's
I've
no
had
difference. Yeah. There's no difference
exactly.
between animal and human spirit. They come through the same way.
Yeah, I've had moments in my life. If it wasn't for my animals, I don't know what I would have done.
I
Just the
say that every
unconditional,
morning when I
yeah,
wake up.
the unconditional love.
Yeah,
All
definitely.
right, Angel, they're gonna cut us off, and I don't want them to cut you off. So again, thank you so much. I know how busy you are, and you're off to work now, I think.
Yeah, I'm off to work now. I work as a nurse and a resident coordinator for a senior assisted living facility now.
Yeah,
So,
God love
yeah.
you.
Yeah.
All right, thank you so much.
All
Have a
right. Take
beautiful day,
care.
and thank you for taking the time.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks.
everyone, for being here. Cosmic superhero, Melissa Segal, the real deal. Thank you. Bye, everyone. Thank you. Bye, Melissa. Talk soon.
Bye.